Welcome back to Ghost Pirate Entertainment. I'm your host, Kanan Becker, and today we talk about The House Next Door, Meet the Blacks 2.
Baby, I think some new people just moved in next door.
Something ain't right at that house, Carl. There's never any movement during the day.
Let me introduce Dr. Mamuwalde.
And real quick before we get into this video, if you could do me a favor and hit that like button, because that really does help this channel out so much. And with that, let's get to the review. Alright, so I just got back from seeing The House Next Door, Meet the Blacks 2. That's such a long name, but it was a pretty fun movie, and so I figured I would let you guys know what I thought of it. So off the jump, it isn't really a true blue horror. It's mostly a comedy that has horrific type of imagery and moments. The main key of this is it's just a silly, fun little movie, nothing to take serious whatsoever. It doesn't have a whole lot of story to this. It's mostly just about being silly and funny and fun. But the basic premise is the family from the original Meet the Blacks has now moved to Atlanta. So they're basically trying to start a new life in Atlanta, and they have these new neighbors that move in that are very suspect. And they start to think that maybe they're vampires, or at the very least, something weird and strange is going on with them. And it really leans into the campy, silly vampire ideas and mythos. It gets pretty funny and definitely silly, but that's basically the idea of this movie, is just this vampire family, vampire group. It's really just a guy, this little pimp dude, and his two female hot minion kind of things. And they just start causing trouble in this neighborhood.
Hey, that's my wife.
She will be mine.
And it's just basically the whole struggle of them trying to figure out if they are vampires. And once they start to go, okay, these are vampires, how do you fight against them? And there's a cameo from a lot of different celebrities that have really fun little small parts in it. The jokes are definitely coming hot and heavy in this, and some of the jokes land really well and have me cracking up, but there are a few duds that were just kind of eh. But for the most part, it's just a silly little movie. One of my biggest issues with it, though, is because it doesn't have a hell of a lot of story to this. It's a real thin premise at best. It starts to run a little long. Somewhere around the middle, I started to find myself getting bored and losing interest, because there's only so many times you could basically go around and around in these circles of these vampires chasing you and that kind of thing. So there wasn't a ton that could be done, and it was just one joke after another. But once those jokes, you start to get a little bored, you're like, hey, I need a little more story.
Take 2 of these and call me in the morning.
What type of medicine you practice, bro? Oh, this.
But I mean, that's basically what this movie is. It's not meant to be a very serious movie at all, and it's not meant to have some really complex story. It's just meant to be silly and hokey and play a lot of jokes. Now, if you haven't seen the first Meet the Blacks, you probably should check it out before watching this. You can see this without watching it and follow along just fine. My company that went with me, they hadn't seen it, and they were still able to follow and still had a good time with it. But I did notice that because I had seen the original, there was some stuff that landed, I think, more heavy with me and had me laughing and just enjoying the connections to the original movie. If you haven't seen the original Meet the Blacks, it's basically just this family that moves to Beverly Hills trying to get away from this whole purge situation, and things follow them and they kind of have to survive a night of purge, basically. It's a pretty thin story as well, but that's kind of what these movies are. They're not meant to be, anything more than just a silly little hour and a half kind of fun little movie. But the other thing that I did enjoy a lot with this, besides the comedy, was the imagery. There is some really cool little vampire special effects and some cool makeup and a lot of jokes that are played, with that, but it looks pretty cool, and there's actually some pretty creepy looking moments. In a lot of ways, it reminded me of a movie like Fright Night. It was kind of like if you've ever seen The Burbs with Tom Hanks and Fright Night, if the two of those movies basically had a baby, is what this movie is. It wasn't as good as The Burbs or as Fright Night necessarily, but it was along the same lines and in that same type of movie. It's not a movie I would spend a bunch of money to go and see in theaters, but maybe at a matinee, but definitely if it's streaming somewhere or, a few dollars to rent, then I think it's definitely worth the watch. It's really just a silly, fun, enjoyable little watch, nothing serious whatsoever. But if you're into just laughing and silly horror type of stuff with a lot of tropes and making fun of a lot of that,
We're living across the street from different strokes. Why would you kick me in the leg? Car can't feel it. Car hit me in the face.
It definitely leans a lot into the meta horror type of humor. And if that is the kind of stuff that you enjoy watching, then I think you will definitely enjoy this. So to sum it up, it's definitely not a perfect movie, but it actually was better than I expected it to be, and I did enjoy the watch. And sometimes it's just really nice to kind of just relax, turn your brain off, grab some popcorn, and watch a fun little laughable type of situation movie, and this is perfect for that. Alright guys, that's going to do it for me today. Please leave your comments down below. You know I love to hear from you guys, and especially I love recommendations from you guys. And if you could do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and ding that little bell, because that is the best way to keep track of this channel and when I post videos like this, and I post videos like this at least 2 times every week. And I also want to give a huge thank you to my patrons, because your support means so much to me. And if you would like to find out more about becoming a patron, the link is down in the description. And like always, thank you so much for watching. Please crush that like button, and remember guys, horror can be fun. I will see you guys next time.
Oh, hell. What did he do to you?
Carl was in my mouth.
You look like Black China.
Watch out for the house next door.